So, I'm going to hodgepodge together our final Faith+Works for the year. Renita's here. Thanks for joining us, Renita. Renita and I was thinking rather than an opening reading, we would have some opening music. But then I realized that this is my last Faith+Works as president of the congregation, so I chose some opening words. You'll indulge. And they're a little weird. Not that I haven't read weird opening words before, but I really like Bernadette Meyer's poetry, and it speaks to the ways in which I also really like the seventh principle about the interconnected web of existence. So I'm going to read this, and then we'll light the chalice, and then we'll have some music, and then I figured we could have a reflection, a group reflection on the last year. At what point does Faith+Works transition into the annual meeting? Sort of blurry boundary at that point.
When we move into the pep talk.
Well, the Faith+Works will set us up nicely for the Okay, so here's today's opening words. There's at least one curse word in this, so apologies. It's the eve of Truman's birthday. Sunny, buds on the trees, even small leaves. Sunny Harry, Fwini, Cry, Stickt, Tigitch, Butelot, Toleto. Saw a beaver. First I saw its paddle tail. I thought it was an extinct platypus, and people would come from everywhere to see the last phalarope of love. Tretu, Priu, Rareb, Eichep, Skut, Kluch, Kudent, Liesla, Zdiz, Konf, Heger Halag, Futz, Sidya, Goa. A gloomy warmth, a glimpse of the future. The lawn field remains unmowed, it's waving in the wind. Virati, Nekern, Nelken, Aztok, Hutup, Unflat, Drupan, Napor, Dehis, Koth, Fluet, Tawel, Swichim, Michwis. Ditto, only it's gloomier and warmer. The grass gets longer. It's harder to mow when it grows so floating. Mowing gives people something to put on their to-do lists. Rain falls, a warm gloom, saw a snake. Herich, Glaber, Break, Haya, Irach, Herich, Algebra, Znogihga, Goebel, Labga, Palpi, Tagio. Fucking Mother's Day, eve of my birthday. It's the beginning of the cut flower season. Let's buy things, no more frosts. Cleared, Smog, Dredger, Meggio, Amog, Angkor, Moaned, Omkdeind, Endom, Rek, O, Demon, Suruk, Ruskar, Ru, Ro, Krosu, Skorer, Snopt, Surcow, Bond, Angry. Marie and us ate oysters, and I steak tartare. The holdout maple gets some leaves. Bluebirds are occupying the bluebird box. We took Marie to Ashfield to her writer's retreat. She's looking forward to a vacation from the New York City subway. She forgot her tea. Nitmen, Trodid, Bedgut, Odakova, Ague, Sakani, Dorexted, Nippemenden, Entin, Trus, Pimed Kapumpa, Pimed Kapam. Light the candle. We only have 2 matches, so we have limited much. Let's get it ready for the first of the second. Good work, excavating the work.
Right.
Frank and Karen. Okay. Rita and I have we've been working on this piece of music. We played it once before. Just want to wait up and stand up here. At the Music City Festival this year, we had a little talent show. Renita and I had been talking about playing this piece together, but we hadn't looked at it, and so we sight read it for our friends, and it went really well first. Anyway, it's a lovely piece for violin and piano by an Estonian composer called Arvo Pärt. And it's very simple, lasts about 10 minutes, I think, and it's a set of repeating patterns that each time they repeat, it gets more expansive. I don't think of us if we need to play this momentarily. It happened 3 times last time we played it, and hopefully it'll happen less than 3 times. So I'll play 3 notes.
Oh, that's me. Just need to get out of it.
it. So I thought that we could spend some time today reflecting on the year, but I wanted to remind us of the year first. So we started off with, well, first we had two kind of big shifts in our congregation this year. One was we formally welcomed Reverend Doctors Edgar Rivera-Colon and Bob Fullilove to be our the ministers of our lay-led congregation, which I like very much. And the year, so that was one of the first big changes. And the second one, of course, was we lost beloved Myrna in September. And then we had a rather, I thought, exciting array of Faith+Works. In the fall, we welcomed Edgar to give a talk in September titled Finite Disappointment and Infinite Hope, Lessons from Dr. King on Community in Chaotic Times. In November, Quinaya Jenkins, who's a board member of the Hub, gave a talk called The Only Way Out is Through. Well, that was missing October. October, of course, was Reverend Charles Lofton, who talked about his work at UU Faith Action, and was sort of sowed the seeds of our UU Heavy Spring. And then, of course, in December, we had our Candlelight Communion, which was really sweet, a kind of small gathering, but very nice. And then in the spring, of course, we had our big hurrahs celebrating 135 years. So in January, we welcomed back Reverend Dr. John Gilmore on Prakash, who sadly couldn't join us in person, but talked about life and the greater work. Then in February, no one has forgotten the visit of the wise women. Took a big heavy lift from all of us, but particularly Darcy and Frank for hosting, Mindy for coordinating with our guests, and then I feel like everyone. I mean, we all showed up for like 4 days in a row, which is a bigger commitment than we're used to here. And they talked about this concept of sustainability, resilience, and joy. And then March, we had Dr. Edgar Rivera-Colon back, talking about My Mother's Whispers, a time for spiritual practices and solidarities. April, of course, we had Marcia LeBeau. Darcy organized our second, it's probably not our second annual, but the second time, at least sequentially, that we've had a poetry month, Faith+Works in April. And then things went off the rail a little bit, but we did have flower communion. We needn't, as you may have noticed, we needn't do anything with our wonderful walkways, although they could probably use a light weeding, but the plants we planted in the fall have really shot up.
Gorgeous.
They look amazing.
Yes.
I was excited for when they were tower above us, but I've been told that likely won't happen. So, but they look really nice. But we did tend to the rain garden and the barrels, which I think are looking much better than they were.
Yes.
And then that brings us to our annual meeting, Faith+Works. So yeah, I don't have some. I think the rest of the things I was going to comment on are best saved for the annual meeting proper, but I just wanted to take a little time and ask if folks wanted to comment on, reflect on, share any insights from the last 12 months of Faith+Works and what we've learned about our congregation. So I'll turn it over to the floor. This comes around so Margot can see us. Sorry, Margaret. Oh, is she? Oh, yeah, Margaret is still here. Okay, you can look at the Becky, Frank, Karen, Darcy.
Well, thank you for the review.
Yes,
Our president,
yes, thank you. And it's good to be reminded.
Yeah.
Yes, and thanks for the beautiful song. I think, I was talking about this the other day, like that we reflected that sort of the role of, I guess the importance and value of the role of the congregation in the mosaic of organizations here at the hub. I mean, obviously both in like carrying the history of this space and the sort of importance of for the hub of having this long foundation of Unitarian values and principles on which it stands, but also in the current moment of this really big task, I think, of a space to care for like our spirits and Edgar has said like discernment of spirit. But anyway, it's sort of, there's so much heaviness right now, so much opportunities like for fear and despair. So really being able to have those points of that time for sort of like the spiritual care and connection is so essential. So that was sort of nice about reflecting at all the moments in the year, just having that connection. So thank you. That's all I want to say.
I think, thinking about everything that we've done, and then what happens as the result of what we've done here. And I think that is such an important part. I don't think the hub would be the hub if it were, well, it wouldn't, but I mean, if it were not for the values and the beliefs and the culture and the things that we, truly believe in, if it were not for that. So I think as sparse as we seem, or, the congregation is small, I think the spirit here really emanates from this place and brings us our community campus, brings us our relationship with Long Beach, brings us our relationship with the laundry workers. If it were not for this and the few of us who come, I don't think we would have all of that. I do think, you mentioned that one weekend with the ladies. I mean, that was great, and I want to thank Karen too for what she did with that. And I'm seeing and feeling an energy, through the hub and through the Capital Campaign Committee of, all of this stuff kind of comes together when we start to plan for a future. Right now, it seems a little difficult, for us all. But I think there's so much potential and hope. So I thank all of you for that.
It's kind of fun to be celebrating 135 years and 10 years. Mm-hmm.
And what?
10 years.
Yeah.
135 and 10.
Yeah.
And it's in a way kind of surprising, right? If you think about 2015, we're going to go out of business. And then here we are. And so there's something that strikes me as mighty about us. Small but mighty.
Mm.
Yeah, the mouse that roared, that's us. It's such difficult times, it's so horrifying. all around us. And then, but then feeling like, okay, but we're clear. I just feel like we're so clear. Like we plant stuff and our walk is beautiful. If you think about our walk, those of us who've been here for longer than 15 years remember the endless debates about the ramp. And now the ramp is gone and what to do with the beds, and now the beds are planted with native plants, and they came back all by themselves. They look great. That was like a clarity of vision that we certainly didn't have that clarity of vision 20 years ago when we couldn't fix the ramp. And we didn't understand how to go forward. And then we didn't know, we're like, okay, we're gonna go forward, but how? So there's sort of, now we see more than we could see before. And that's pretty amazing.
Mm.
And I think that's, so people talk about, that you need to be in touch with, sort of the spirit of the universe, because that gives us moral clarity. And then if we have moral clarity, we figure out what to plant. And so I think these times we gather, the people we ask to come and talk to us, it's a motley crew of people, right? Very different. And they're not all quite on the same message, but they all come with good hearts. And I feel like has been helping us grow and grow and grow. And that it's pretty wonderful.
Speaking of clarity, I'm really happy that we now can see clearly our beautiful Tiffany window. That's part of the clarity. Before we had a rickety walkway and we had plexiglass, then you couldn't appreciate the Tiffany window. And now, of course, you could always appreciate it from the inside, but now you can appreciate so much more from the outside. And I think that speaks volumes for what we've accomplished.
And I think it's very bad for our feng shui that our garbage area is wrecked.
Oy.
And but I mean that like really literally. And I know it's high on the agenda, but we couldn't really see. I never noticed the garbage area before this morning. And then, but it's like the ramp is fixed, and the walkway is fixed, and this is fixed, and that is fixed. Like, oh, we have to fix the garbage area. And then, so things present themselves to us. But also, looking at the garbage area doesn't feel the way it used to feel when I looked at that ramp. True. Because we all agree, right? Like, I know Frank and Darcy, Wayne, you probably sat through some of those board meetings too.
Yeah.
Where nobody could agree.
Yeah.
And if anybody came close to agreement, Greg Jacoby would bust it up with some question. But now,
Rest in
okay,
peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in
Greg.
peace, Greg.
Rest in peace. But now we look at the garbage area and it's not a question, it's like, okay, we will fix that.
There's
just
no
one
disagreement there.
No disagreement. There's a clarity of vision about what we're trying to be in the world that I think is hard won. And I really appreciate Frank's point that it radiates out through the campus, that we hold the heart of the campus.
Yeah, reflecting on the year, I do of course think about February and those amazing 4 days that will live in legend. But I was also thinking, it would be nice if this coming church year, there was something, like that we got all psyched about, we're all intensely involved for 4 days or whatever it takes. I don't know what that would be or when it would be. I believe there was a threat of a snowstorm
Yeah, not in February.
that brought a few
Right.
clouds
Right.
to our happy, but But I mean, I feel like it's good for everybody to come together and to work hard. It's the clarity that you're talking about, like we're all doing the same thing. Again, I don't know what that would be. Maybe people sitting here have some kernel of an idea, that we might come up with something, some amazing weekend guest speaker that turns into, I don't know what, something that will involve a lot of other people, as the ladies did, right? Something that would be sort of a signal event. Again, I don't know what that would be, but that's something to think about. Because it was fun,
It was fun. It
Yeah.
was fun.
Definitely was.
and I think we felt, well, I think some of us felt that we made friends.
Yeah.
I mean, like we made contacts, we made friends, we somehow enlarged our circle, and that's a good feeling. But another thing that I was thinking about was the idea of, I mean, we're talking about our UU values, which of course we honor and respect, but which can seem a bit abstract sometimes. Sometimes, they're very abstract. And I was thinking about really what we have here is like a place-based faith, right? Because our faith really is orange, right? That's a faith that draws people and that brings people. So I was maybe thinking about developing or reflecting on that, sort of like a place-based faith, like we're here because we love orange. I'm not saying every single person, but, somehow that seems very key to me as like a space, a place, right? Because that's what we're doing, is we're keeping the place going, right?
In Brittany, they have a whole calendar of saints that are saints of Brittany and not necessarily on the whole Catholic cloud of saints. And it's because it's very place-based in that way. And that came to mind when you said
Yeah.
it's really honored in that place.
Yeah, and so, if you're coming here for a potluck or some other thing, in a way, just by coming here, you are honoring this place. So maybe we could develop that a bit more in terms of people, not to say members, but,
Yeah.
join our place, right? You don't have to join our church, but join our place, or something like that. So think about that. So,
Yeah, I was hoping to, I'll talk a little bit about that more when we get to our annual meeting, but I was, in February, when we were doing all the promotion, we had someone reach out to us online via one of our social media accounts who said, it was like the thing we were all expecting, right, where Trump gets re-elected and all of a sudden people are looking for somewhere to bring their kids that's like aligned with their values on a Sunday morning or what have you, and they reached out and they said, I'd love to bring my family to this, is it child friendly? And I said, well, it's not child unfriendly,
yeah,
but it's also not like we've got Sunday school or something.
yeah.
And I ended up saying, it might be more appropriate for you to come bring your family to a potluck. And in that sense, recognizing that there were 3,500 people through our doors in 2024, this more expansive notion of join our place,
Join our place.
somehow is reminding me of a Madness song, but possibly not for all the right reasons. Anyway, I've been thinking about that a bunch too, Darcy.
But there's one thing I'd like to say from being afar, that the qualities and the values that were presented in all the Faith+Works are those that are universal. And they certainly, from me, it really provided strength for my spiritual foundation in these times, especially this year. So I just found some, the talk about sustainability, joy, compassion, was just so uplifting, and I look forward to every Faith+Works. It just really served to strengthen my soul. And I know that this strength comes from Orange, and I have that, even though I'm in Vermont. But I think there's a universal strengthening that the qualities do evoke. At least that's what I felt. So I thank you all for that, providing that for me with with these really hard times that we've been going through.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Margot was joined our congregation this year too, right? It was in the last.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And it's such a strengthening, I just found myself really looking forward to each talk and just going on the words and the activities, not only the words, the music from today is so beautiful. And all our communion at the end of the year, the sweet ceremony is just so wonderful. It was very uplifting.
I want to say how much I've enjoyed Darcy's delving into the recordings to come up with the bus to ponder.
Oh,
I
thank you.
thank you, Darcy. Those are such beautiful selections, and I know you read so carefully and then edit them down. And I think I think we're going to go places with our bulletin now that we're learning how to use Substack.
Thank you. Yes, it actually, I enjoy it. I mean, I never know what I'm going to find, right? So I feel like a bit of a detective, like I'm Nancy Drew. I'm the Unitarian Nancy Drew, I mean, 'cause I never know what pearl, what gem I'm going to find. So it's actually fun.
And in a way, for me, it's made me, Edgar gave us this language of the Faith+Works services and the role of the congregation being one of kind of cultivating what does he say, collective spiritual discernment of the work that we're doing. And it's in the pause to ponders that we sort of are able to, and in that sense, Faith+Works actually is a very active endeavor. Like, we're not coming here to hear someone tell us how to be holy and righteous, what have you, right? We're here to figure out some rather difficult questions around what we're trying to do here. And the pause to ponders become this place where we can really sort of trace this kind of emerging Faith+Works theology almost.
Yes.
It's been
Yes, one thing that I'm
nice.
always fascinated by is when I look at these, I might know the person, I might not know the person. But it's like everybody has something to say. I mean, everybody has some moment where they're really articulating their spiritual beliefs or journey. And I always, that's what I try to find, is that moment. And that can be very powerful. So that's interesting to me, is that it's like a universal human thing, is that everybody has this capacity, not necessarily appreciated or recognized. So.
I never took Latin, so I don't know how you say it. Is it genus loci or genus loci? Something that,
The place of the people, or no?
no, the god of the place. It's the genus Loci.
Loci is place.
The spirit of the place.
The spirit of the place, yes.
It's I mean, it's interesting because maybe before we had this discernment and created the hub was about, kind of principles, right? You hear a sermon about principles, but now it's much more exploration of that word, which I don't know how you pronounce it in Latin, and it's low side, I'd say. The spirit of this place, of this region, of this city, of this building.
Yeah.
Spirit, and it sort of, as we come to understand the spirit and we communicate with the spirit in all the ways that we do, you know, by planting, by coming here, by being on Main Street, listening to music, all the ways that we communicate with that spirit, we get more and more clarity. And maybe it would be really fun next year to do a big, like, it should be April if Poetry Month can be moved to March. But April's pretty good at weather.
Yeah.
To do a sort of, that word, Janice Logai, 4 days, and invite a variety of people to celebrate
This place.
this place.
A thought. Yeah.
And give us a way of like understanding more deeply what we're doing.
Say goodbye to Anita. Veronica, thank you. Before we close out, Karen, Wayne, Becky, anything you want to add by way of reflection?
Not to add, it's good hearing the comments, and I agree with, you know, what's been said about having such a productive and joyful year in spite of, we were able to do that, you know, with each other together, was to kind of be a place where we could feel the possibilities of moving forward and in spite of. And so whatever we can do to welcome more people into this seems to me to be really important for the coming year. And I keep thinking also about our staff, somehow bringing them in more. I mean, they're engaged every day, so they see what's happening from a different perspective, but somehow it would be good to make sure that they're getting support for whatever challenges they have in their lives, and that they feel that this is a place for them, that they're serving us, but we also want to serve them and support them whatever way we can, so keep that in mind as we're doing things.
Yeah, and the idea of, you know, wanting, as you mentioned, Becky, and others of us, or all of us think, you know, involving more people. And is the sort of, for this particular part of things, Faith+Works, maybe, there are other congregations that are espousing UU specifically, and this, this is the heritage of this group also. But it is something different, I think, whether it's the place-based faith, that idea that Darcy was talking about or whatever, that maybe there is potential for, sort of Faith+Works outreach premised on that, to be continued, I suppose. The annual meeting coming up.
Karen?
Oh. You know,
Okay, well, for that, before we adjourn for tea in our business meeting, I thought it would be nice to take a congregation photograph. That's okay with everyone?
Yeah,
Wait,
sure.
thanks to Karen for all your
Oh, yeah, thank you, Karen, for making sure that we continue to function and exist administratively
Thank you.
as a
Yes.
church.
Thank you.
Anyway, we have Margot on Zoom, so maybe we can gather around the computer and then figure out how we take the photograph. I'm gonna put you on spotlight here, Margot. Oop. Gotta remove spotlight on us. There we go. Okay, so Margaret's.
I get in this way, are we all still in the picture?
Part of the congregation.
Yeah,
Come
this is part of
on.
a slippery slope.
Are you not?
Little...
You're just here for Frank?
No, I work here. That's a part of the congregation.
I think it is, actually.
Absolutely.
And you're married, and so it's two, you
Yes,
know.
married into the congregation.
Yeah. And you finished connections without any mistakes, so.
Frank Hill.
Okay, we need to, thankfully didn't part yet.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
Oh, great, you can move in close. You wanna say
Sure.
close your first step.
I want to say Unitarian Universalism on 3.
Okay, I take the message.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you for it.
Okay, very good. Shall we adjourn?
Send it,
Oh, yes, I'll
yeah,
email
when
it
you
around.
get a chance. We're going.
Okay, yeah, we can adjourn to the parish hall.
Would you close the door?
We'll,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can wrap this stuff up here.
Should Margot leave the Zoom, or?
oh, you could stay on Zoom, Margot, because Margot's a member, and soon to be board member. So.